Good morning. Today we are going to continue talking about constellations. Constellations are a group of stars that make up an image. In this picture here, it says, do you recognize this pattern of stars? We talked about this yesterday. This pattern is called the Big Dipper. So it's called the Big Dipper because people long ago thought that this pattern looked like a dipper, a cup with a handle, and people use dippers to dip up water from a bucket. So that's kind of how they got that idea. The Big Dipper is a part of a bigger constellation called the Ursa Major, and that means Great Bear. So the Big Dipper is just a part of a bigger constellation of stars. And since there's a Ursa Major, there's also a Ursa Minor, and this includes the Little Dipper. So the Little Dipper is a part of a bigger constellation known as the Ursa Minor, which means Little Bear. We also talked about Orion and how this looks like a man holding a shield and sword. This is another constellation in our sky. So constellations don't move. They stay in one place in the sky. But if you go out shortly after dark in the middle of the winter and look up, you will see the constellation of Orion, the Hunter. If you go out at the same time in the middle of the summer, Orion will not be there. Instead, when you look up, you will see the constellation Aquila, the Eagle. So even though constellations do not move, depending on the season, will determine which constellation you will see, Orion or Aquila. So, as the Earth orbits around the sun, your view of the night sky changes. In the summer, your night sky is pointed to one direction in space. In the winter, the night sky is pointed to the opposite direction. Northern sky watchers can see the stars of Orion in the winter, but not in the summer. So depending on where the Earth is, depends on which constellation you will see. So people in the northern hemisphere do not see the same constellations as the people in the southern hemisphere. And that is because they're on two different parts of the Earth. So observers in the northern hemisphere see everything above the blue line, and observers in the southern hemisphere see everything under the blue line. Everything below the red line. So everything above the blue line is the northern hemisphere, and everything below the red line is the southern hemisphere. Observers on the equator see everything eventually as the Earth orbits the sun. So that green line, as the Earth rotates around the sun, people who live kind of at the equator of the Earth, they see all of the constellations. Near the poles, the stars appear to rotate in a circle in the sky because Earth rotates around this axis. Stars at the poles appear to be moving in huge circles in the sky. So, with this in mind, we need to know that constellations do not move, but depending on where we are on Earth and during what season can influence which constellations we may see. Once you have finished watching this video, go into the Google Doc and answer the questions there. Make sure you type the questions in the Google Doc so I can see them. Good luck.